Granblue. It likes to drink its Granblue, I guess. One of my more anticipated games of 2020 was Granblue Fantasy Versus. I played the beta in 2019 and I really liked what I played. I thought the graphics were top notch, I thought the gameplay was really fun. The netcode was pretty good for the beta, so I was looking forward to getting my hands on the game in 2020 and really grinding it out. While I did pick up Granblue when it first dropped in earlier this year, I didn't get much of a chance to play it due to personal reasons, but I was looking forward to seeing it evolve in the tournament scene and the offline scene. Well, for obvious reasons, that didn't happen either, but I thought the game would develop online and have a nice, strong online community, but it seems like that wasn't the case. As you can see here, the Steam numbers have really dropped off. Twitch numbers aren't much better either, and even people in the community have noted that the player base really hemorrhaged off early on. So what happened? Well, there's a few obvious reasons behind that, but I think there's a bit more to Granblue's seemingly early death than what meets the eye, so that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. But before I get into the content of the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell as well for notifications on future videos. It really helps the channel grow, and all you have to do is 2 simple clicks and you help my channel and this community grow and do something bigger. And if you want to follow me personally, I'm very active on social media, Twitter, Instagram @zmangs. I would love it if you give me a follow over on those social media websites if you want to see more of my drunken adventures in Tokyo. And one more thing, I'm not exactly the best Granblue player, I'm still learning the game, but so please be kind in this gameplay footage, but we'll get through together. But anyway, with that out of the way, let's begin.
Believe in victory. Battle 1. Engage!
It's obvious that Corona killed a lot of fighting game plans for 2020. Pretty much all offline events outside of a very few select spots have been cancelled for the foreseeable future. Fighting games thrive on offline play, thanks to the frame-tight gameplay needing the best setup possible to play on, which is offline. While fighting game fans do want to get their fix, so it feels like a lot of fighting game fans have adapted to what they've been given. So for a lot of games like Street Fighter V, Tekken 7, and Granblue, they have adapted to their poor netcode. And Granblue's netcode is kind of hit and miss. It uses the standard arcsys delay-based netcode, which is fine in Japan, but outside of Japan, it leaves a lot to be desired. And hey, I'm lucky, I live in Japan, so if I want to, I can easily get good matches in games like Granblue or Dragon Ball FighterZ without much of a hassle. But I know a lot of you don't live in Japan, so if you drop the game due to the poor netcode, I don't blame you. I can't but feel that if cygames and arcsys put in the time and money to make a good rollback netcode for Granblue, I think we'd be having an entirely different conversation here, but we gotta deal with the cards we've been given, and the cards are delay-based netcode. But again, I know the truly devoted have been making do with what they have, so if you're still playing online, good for you. But netcode nor COVID are the issues that blighted Granblue and ultimately led it to its fate.
Shut up and take my money!
Granblue's international release could have been handled better. To clarify it, Cygames published the game in Japan, Sega published it in the rest of Asia, XZ Games published it in North America, and Marvelous published it in Europe. You see the issue here. You already have 4 companies publishing the same game in different territories, and not everybody got the game at once. Asia got it just fine, but for some reason the game was delayed a whole month in North America, and even later for Europe, which is really weird, as Cygames foot the bill for the localization themselves, and had the English dub and translation ready to go for the Asia release. I know a few people hate XZ for justifiable reasons, so I'm guessing they had a hand in why Granblue was pushed back in English-speaking territories. Then there's the PC release, which seemingly dropped out of nowhere in March. At that point, the release marketing was only focusing on the PlayStation 4 version. Nothing was mentioned of the PC release until basically it dropped. Maybe it has something to do with Japan preferring consoles, but it's still a weird decision to just ignore a huge player base like that. What was also a dick move is that the PC release of the game didn't have any of the codes for the mobile game, unlike the PlayStation 4 version. What's even worse is that PlayStation 4 fans and PC fans can't fight against each other. No, there's no crossplay in Granblue. I don't know what happened behind the scenes, maybe there was communication issues or maybe marketing wasn't all on the same page, but still, everything seems like really unplanned for Granblue's PC release, as well as its international release. But to make a long story short, staggered releases for a fighting game is bad. You don't want to have one territory get the advantage over the other for competitive games like this. And no crossplay means you're already limiting the small player base and trying to find matches.
There's nothing here at all.
Another thing about Granblue is the base game itself. I do think the game has a lot of content in it, but I think they might have went about things the wrong way in terms of characters. Now, to clarify, I do think launching a new fighting game with a small roster isn't a bad idea. It's a new game with new mechanics, and some people might get overwhelmed if you have a bunch of characters at the start. Not only that, I think it's better to have fewer characters that are unique from each other than to have a bunch of characters who play the same. So in that sense, I think Granblue did really well. However, I know some Granblue fans were really upset at having only 11 playable characters at launch, plus one character as unlockable, given how expansive Granblue's roster is. Like, look at this bitch, she would be fun to play as. Look at this asshole, what's his story? Look at that douchebag. Look at that douchebag.
I'm just so irritated by these stupid fans!
A game with only 12 characters at launch means that more characters would be released as DLC for the game. Not a bad thing, but how Cygames went about it was handled extremely poorly. There were 2 season passes announced right away. 2. I knew more of the 2 season passes before I knew anything of the PC release. That is a bold move to have 2 season passes for a really niche product outside of Japan right out the gate. I'm sure the strategy worked in Japan where more people are familiar with these characters and the IP, but for people outside of Japan or people not familiar with the Granblue license, it's kind of a hard sell. So who's your favorite character from Season 1? Yori Ganondorf's bastard son? Blonde miniskirt girl? Old dude in his underwear? Big Titty Virgil or Soul Bad Girl? I like Big Titty Virgil the most.
I need more power. Show me your motivation.
What really stinks is that playing this game after so long is that the game is teasing you with the DLC characters. They're all on the character select screen, just locked away. You can even fight them in the single player mode. But like, yeah, you want to play these characters. Yeah, you do. Well, fuck you, give us money. Well, up your cygames. When you're introducing a new IP to a new audience, you have to illustrate why these characters are worth their asking price, and also prove that your game is even worth investing into in the first place. Games like Street Fighter V, Dragon Ball FighterZ, Tekken have established themselves long ago so they can quote-unquote get away with selling characters as DLC. Even if the characters haven't changed all that much between games, looking at you, Scamco with Tekken. Granblue doesn't have that established presence outside of Japan, so being asked to invest in the game with more money is a tall order for those who aren't invested into the IP or scene, which happens to be a lot of people outside of Japan. And that's the issue. There's a saying that you don't get a second chance at a first impression, and that's definitely the case for Granblue. It wanted the piece of the fighting game pie that fighting games like Street Fighter V, Guilty Gear, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, and many others have been enjoying, but it went in too hard, it had too much confidence, and ultimately tripped over itself. It wanted the time and money from players, like those other games, but it didn't prove it deserved it unlike those other titles. It's the equivalent of a photographer asking $500 for a photo shoot, but the only thing in his portfolio are dick pics. Add to that the standard trappings of current fighting games like the poor netcode and the lack of crossplay, and you have a game that was doomed to fail. So this begs the question, is Granblue worth saving? Of course it is! Unlike other games as service titles such as Anthem or Fallout 76, Granblue's base game is certainly worth building off of. I think the core gameplay here is actually really fun, and given cygames' capital and arcsys' talent, we can easily save Granblue from being a dead fighting game. If you're still playing Fallout 76 or Anthem or hell, even the new Marvel's Avengers game, I really hope you're doing okay in life, and I hope you get some professional help soon. First things first, we gotta get the game on Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. When Granblue Definitive Edition releases for the next-gen consoles, it includes all the DLC released between Season 1 and 2. We need to have crossplay between all the systems, PS4, PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Steam. To supplement this crossplay, we need better netcode. So put a lot of that money towards netcode, put it towards rollback netcode. Given that arcsys has seemingly being very receptive towards changes and feedback to Guilty Gear Strive, I think we can fix things here in terms of netcode for Granblue. And finally, Season 3. It will be entirely free. Get the top 3 or 4 most popular characters from around the world in the Granblue lore and put them into Season 3 for free. That's right, free. Free DLC is a good way to get people to keep hanging on to their copies of the game, and the publicity will be worth it. With these 4 things, Granblue will get a nice new lease on life, and hopefully establish itself as a fighting game online, and when offline events return in 2020X, there will be plenty of Granblue action to go around. A while back I did a video about why fighting games of past generation have been, well, for lack of a better term, sucks. By previous generation, I mean the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One generation of games. And basically everything I said in that video applies to Granblue and why Granblue seemingly fell off the face of the earth, even though it had the potential to be the next really big fighting game. And we can't put the blame entirely on COVID. That definitely had a part in it, but we can't put the blame on that. Pretty much the entire blame goes onto cygames and arcsys for just taking their consumers for, quite frankly, a ride. While a lot of players in the community will put the blame on people in the community for their game not taking off, a lot of the blame does go on the publisher's side. So if you're running where all the players went, well, they probably just went to other video games because they had the better netcode, maybe they had more characters, and they just had more fun than what Granblue was offering them. So don't blame people for wanting something better when better games are out there. So that's all I got to say on that. But if you're still playing Granblue, I hope you're having fun. I hope you're playing all the waifus, and I really hope cygames and arcsys really improves the game going forward. And I really hope Strive also isn't a piss take, even though that game is looking like it's going to be a piss take too. So we'll see what happens. But anyway guys, thank you for watching. Remember, if you liked the video, be sure to leave a comment. Are you still playing Granblue? Do you think it's worth saving? Are there any fighting games you're playing right now that we should check out? Just let me know in the comments. It would also be really helpful if you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell as well for notifications on future videos. That really helps the channel grow. And finally, follow me on the social media. Twitter, Instagram as zmains, and with that out of the way, I will finish the video. So thank you everybody, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you on the next video. Later.